Good morning, fathers of daughters. This is Ephraim B. Martin, and we are back for another live stream. Welcome, all fathers of daughters, regardless of your ethnic group and your background. Welcome. Well, fathers, we got another live stream today, and happy about this one. What I'm going to be addressing today, fathers, is girl dads, obligation versus situation. And the reason why I want to discuss obligation versus situation, fathers, is because as fathers of daughters, we have a lot of obligations for our daughters. And we're going to have to prioritize them. And one of the greatest things that we have to prioritize is the protection and safety of our daughters. And that part of the obligation, it could be difficult for a lot of fathers. It could be tricky for a lot of fathers because birth to 10 years of age, we pretty much are going to be raising our daughters, watching our daughters grow, and being able to keep an eye on them. And then when they turn 11 and 12 and become teenagers, that is a whole different story. That is a whole different stage of development for our daughters. So there could, there's a lot of things that come with that teenage stage. One of the things I want to talk about when we talk about obligation, and we're talking about the protection and safety when it comes to obligation of our daughters, is I'm a former state of Colorado juvenile probation officer. I worked in the criminal justice system for 20 years. And I supervised a lot of young women, a lot of young girls, ages 10 to 18 on probation. And 90 to 95% of the young women that I supervised on probation were runaway little girls, right? And when you think about that, 90 to 95% of young girls that I had on probation were runaways. So the question becomes is why do children run away from home? What would possess a 11, 12, 13-year-old to run away from home, to even have the ideal of running away from home? And what I learned as a probation officer is that fathers of daughters, when our daughters, if they decide to run away from home, they're in a very, very dark place. I've already discussed this previously in another video. But if our daughters decide to run away from home, they're in a dark place. And if they act up on it, that means that they have decided in their minds that is better for them and safer for them to be away from their parents. And they would risk their lives and their livelihood being on the street. So that's the protection and safety that I'm talking about when it comes to our baby girls. It should never get to the point to where our daughters want to run away from home, right? If we're a father and we're active in their life and we've been there since birth and we haven't brought any violence against our children or against our wives or against the mothers of our children, there should absolutely never be a reason why our daughters would want to ever run away from home. I can tell you, the young girls that I supervised that ran away from home, they had a lot of issues at home with their mothers in particular, and their fathers, if they were in their lives, they weren't married to the mothers and they didn't see their fathers as much. So typically little girls, if they run away from home and it's just them and their mom, that's a whole DNA thing with women and their daughters. It's just a female thing. It's a female DNA thing. I don't think I've ever met a young girl who didn't challenge her mother. And when you don't have a father in the home, if you're fatherless. Little girls tend to run with that. And most, mothers are nurturers and fathers are disciplinarians for the most part. Those are the roles of the family. So I learned a lot from supervising these young girls. Their stories were very, very interesting from the perspective of when they decided to run and why they decided to run. All had different reasons of running away from home. But the dangerous thing about that, when we think about our baby girls being on the street at 10, 11, and 12, the only thing you could possibly think is that they're going to end up dead. Because the predators that are waiting for them, fathers, they're going to harm them physically, they're going to sexually assault them, and they may end up killing them. That's what predators do. And I'm not talking about predators that are in their 50s and 60s. I'm talking about predators that are 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They're predators too. They're young boys. They're young men. There's older men, right? And I have 3 great videos that I want to show today and that I want to share with girl dads. And they're eye openers as to what could happen to our daughters if they end up running away from home. Because when our daughters decide to bounce and leave, I can tell you, the young girls I supervise, the chances of finding them, it's going to be tough because law enforcement, when your kids run away from home, law enforcement doesn't look for them. And yes, you're going to file a runaway report and you're going to, you're going to put that in the system. But chances are the way your daughter or your son's going to get caught is by chance. But as far as law enforcement officers actually looking for your kid, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. That was my experience as a probation officer. When I had little girls run that were on probation, I had a little girl one time, 10 years old. She ran from probation and they didn't find her for 3 years. For 3 years. And I remember I got her when I first became a probation officer in 1994. I didn't see that young lady again until 1997, almost 1998. And they brought her back into court and they ended up trying to put her back on probation again. And none of it made any sense to me because I'm thinking to myself, thank God, after 3 years, she's still alive. Her parents, she was in contact with her parents the entire time. She just didn't let them know where she was. So there were other responsible adults out there that were harboring this little girl and didn't have the decency to tell her parents where this child was. But that's crazy to me. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So yes, fathers, we definitely have to be diligent and vigilant when it comes to our babies, girls, and the whole protection and safety. Because, like I said, if our daughters get to the point to where they don't want to be at home, they're in that dark place, it's too late. So, fathers, what I'm asking you to do is never allow the relationship with your baby girls to deteriorate to the point to where they're in that dark space and they don't want to be around their parents. That's crazy to me. I have 4 adult daughters, and I can't even imagine when they were little girls, them running away from home and being out there. I would have been a mess. There's absolutely no way. I wouldn't have been able to sleep. I would have lost weight. It would have been crazy because I know what this world does to little girls, and nothing good can come out of it. Okay, fathers? So I want to share these 3 videos with you today. The first 2 videos are talking about why little girls run away from home. And then the last video I'm going to be sharing with you is of a 13-year-old young girl who's out on the street, had major issues with her mother, and she's prostituting herself. And this is what will happen to a lot of our little girls when they run away from home. The predators are going to be waiting for them. And there's absolutely nothing that we can do. These little girls, what they're going to do is they're going to find resources to be resourceful, to keep themselves alive and to keep themselves going. Because, like I said, predators, all ages. They're not these dirty old men hiding behind a computer. Those days are over, specifically with social media. This is how a lot of these young girls are hooking up with these pimps, these young pimps. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. These predators are running game on our daughters, on young girls. So we have to be aware, fathers, and we have to make sure that our relationship with our baby girls never gets to the point to where they don't feel safe at home. That just, for me, it's a frightening scenario. Because I had a couple young ladies that were on probation that were murdered. So it is not a good thing for our daughters to be out there on their own, because baby girls, women, the young girls are going to wing it as best they can. And when they're that young, their bodies are growing, and predators just don't care. They don't give a damn about our baby girls. So let's take a look at this first video on why kids run away from home. All right. Okay, let me see. Let me get this right. Okay, fathers, first video.
Why do kids run away from home? This is a common behavior that we see sometimes. I'm Nicolene Peck, and I'm the previous foster parent of many troubled teens, many of which, in fact, almost all of them, had a history with running away. And I learned a lot about why they run away and what they're hoping to accomplish by that, and maybe what kinds of things they could learn to help them instead of running away. So let's talk about why kids run away in this video. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why a child might decide to run away, and the last reason you'll want to stick around for, because I think it might surprise you. Now, there are many reasons why a person might run away. And one of those reasons is kind of a sad reason, and that's the person could be in danger. So when a young person is in danger and they don't know how to handle their problem, the only solution seems to be to get out, to get away, to preserve themselves. So as adults and as parents, we need to ask ourselves the question, do we actually feel safe? Does the child feel like they're battling me? Do they feel like they can't trust me? Maybe have we been a little too heavy-handed? This could be a sign. Now, I know that that's maybe a hard thing to hear for some people, but it definitely can be true. Maybe a young person is in a situation that they don't know how to get out of. In fact, they don't even know that there are ways to handle difficult situations like that. The good news is there are ways that you can handle situations, even abusive situations, without having to put yourself in danger by running away. As I get into my other reasons, you'll learn other ways that you can handle your problems that don't require running away. So be sure to stick around and gather some of that information, especially if you might be contemplating running away yourself. The second reason that some people choose to run away is because they don't feel like they're being understood. Sometimes we think of things in a way that somebody else doesn't get, or at least we think that they don't get it, and we don't know how to become understood. So sometimes we feel like we've got to get our message through to them, and that's why we run away. Sadly, what usually happens is the person that we're running away from just feels like they need to control you more, not actually understand you more. And so they might go into a lockdown type mentality when you're found, because it almost always happens. I was a foster parent. All of the teens that ran away from my home were always found, and many of them did it repeatedly. Why did they run away from my home? You might be wondering that. Well, they ran away because they didn't know how to solve their problems, and because many of them had a habit of running away. So in their homes, when they didn't get things their way, or maybe when they would feel anxious or frustrated, they developed a habit of running away from their problem because nobody ever taught them that there was a way they could solve their problem. In fact, they could feel better for having solved the problem, and it didn't have to be as difficult as their anxiety was telling them that it might be. One skill that I taught my foster children that would help them become understood was a skill called disagreeing appropriately. When a person disagrees appropriately, what they're doing is seeking to understand the other person's point of view and then sharing their point of view in a calm and relatable way. So the steps to disagreeing appropriately are to look at a person, to keep a calm face, voice, and body. I mean, really calm. To say that you understand the other person's point of view, and then to share your point of view, to listen to what the other person has to say, and then to say okay and drop the subject. Now, obviously, we don't say okay to things that are dangerous to us, but when it's our parent and they're giving us a no answer about something, or an instruction about something, or they're sharing their opinion, then we can say, okay, acknowledging that's how you feel, that's your opinion, so that we can come to that place of understanding. But dropping the subject is so very important. Do you know, it's ruminating on the same thought again and again and again that is actually what propels us forward to leave our situation, to run away. It's because we're not controlling what our brain is doing. Many people don't realize that. They feel like the only way to make the anxiety go away is to keep thinking about it. And then when the anxiety persists, then they think, well, maybe I can run away from the anxiety. But even after you run away, the anxiety is still there. In fact, then usually comes fear, a feeling of loneliness, abandonment. It's definitely not helpful for a young person to be in that type of a situation, because sometimes we start doing things that are more drastic than we ever would do just because we're desperate. The third reason that a person might choose to run away is because they have something to hide. Here's the thing. We all make mistakes. Every person makes bad choices once in a while. And I know that it can be really humbling when someone else finds out about your mistake. But if that person loves you, if they really love you, even if they have disappointment for a minute or even a day or two, they're going to still have that love prevail. I was just talking with a woman the other day who talked about a teenage pregnancy that she had. She was sure her family would be mad at her, maybe even, kind of disown her in a way just because of how things happened. But she was completely wrong. The family supported her. In fact, the family grew and bonded in greater ways because they saw her through this trial that she had. And everyone was happy for her in the end because she became a great person for relying on the family as she went through this difficult circumstance. So don't hide. The people who really love you love you. And if you tell someone who doesn't seem like they do love you, there is someone who does. And running away just gets rid of your support. It doesn't really help you hide anything in the end. Before I get to my last 2 reasons why people run away, is some of this interesting to you? If so, give it a thumbs up. In fact, leave me a comment below. I'd love to know your experiences with runaways and what types of thoughts are going through your mind. The fourth reason that people choose to run away is because they don't know how to solve their problems. Problem solving takes practice. In fact, there are certain skills that a person usually has to use to solve their problems. There was an exercise that I used with my foster children that helped them learn better ways to solve their problems. This exercise was called SODAS. I know that's a funny, strange name. It's an acronym that stands for situation, options, disadvantages, advantages, and solution. Did you know that there are advantages to making the wrong choice, even a dangerous choice? And there are disadvantages to making the right choice or a really productive, healthy choice. There are, and sometimes we don't focus on those when we're trying to help another person who might be contemplating drastic decisions for their lives. So maybe you're helping someone right now who is contemplating running away. Maybe you're even contemplating it for yourself. Do a SODAS. So here's the situation. Someone is doing something that I don't like. Or the situation could be, I feel like getting out of here. whatever it is. You write that as the situation, but you make sure to stop the situation right before a decision is made. Then comes the options. Well, what are my options? I can get out of here and run away. I can stay and get calm and talk to the person, or I can disagree appropriately. And I explained some of that skill before. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of these particular choices that I might make? Well, then you go through that. Well, one of the advantages to running away is I don't have to look at the person and I don't have to face my anxiety right then. But it doesn't go away. I'm going to have to face it at some point. So that's one of the disadvantages. I'm just making my solution to my problem take longer. I might be cold. I might be hungry. I might not know where to go. I might get somebody else in trouble for keeping me a secret. So think of the advantages and disadvantages. There are many advantages that we don't consider to those good behaviors. Then at the end, make a solution, a really honest solution. That brings me to reason number 5. The 5th reason that people might choose to run away is because they actually don't want to acknowledge the truth. I know that's kind of shocking, right? I promised you that there would be a kind of shocking revelation, but it's true. Many people feed themselves a lot of lies. They tell themselves things like, nobody cares about me, nobody would notice if I'm gone, they'd be better off if I'm not here, my life is going to be better without them, maybe the point will get through to them, maybe they'll feel bad if I'm gone, and so I want them to feel bad because that's going to bring them closer to me. All of those kinds of things, they go into our head, and really they're not focusing on truths, they're just focusing on emotions that we're having at the time. We're in the wrong part of our brain when we're thinking of running away. The place we need to be at in our brain is in the prefrontal cortex, the part that acknowledges and analyzes the truth. So what is the truth? Those people are connected to your life because they care about you. They may not be behaving properly, and maybe you're not either, but that doesn't mean they don't care about you. They absolutely do. And running away is just a power struggle. It doesn't solve anything. So make sure that you choose to actually solve the problem, not to create additional problems by power struggling and running away. At some point, when you're found, because everyone is, then you have to solve the problem anyway. That's the truth. You have to talk about it then. So why not just talk about it now? Another truth that people don't recognize is I can get calm. I can become calm. So choose that. Choose that instead of feeding the anxiety and those anxious thoughts that are in your head again and again. Those are the things that are pushing you away from the people that would support you and love you. Those assumptions that everybody's going to be mad at you or hates you or doesn't care, those aren't true. A person could feel emotional maybe about something you did. That doesn't really change necessarily the way that they think about you as a person. Remember that. There are truths. You're valuable to them, and they are actually valuable to you. And if you leave them, you will feel a hole in your life too. These are just some of the reasons that a person might choose to run away. I mean, you probably know many more. And if you want to list them in the chat, you can. I know that some people have chemical things that they're dealing with and lots of other stresses and burdens that might be part of their lives. But generally speaking, these 5 reasons attach to almost every other reason why a person might choose to run away. If you're making that choice right now for yourself, or if someone around you is trying to make that choice, I'd like you to hold off on the choice for a minute until you can figure out how well you can master yourself. There is something I have called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. Now, it sounds like it's for parents, but really it's for anybody. The skills that I share in that Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is basically a mini course that a person can take to learn to master themselves, their own self-government, and they can learn to communicate more calmly with other people, could be really beneficial for you as you are trying to strengthen relationships with someone or solve some of your problems. You've got to do it with a level head. Be calm. Click on that Calm Parenting Toolkit link that is below this video in the description. It's free. You have nothing to lose. You only have the opportunity to gain. more control over yourself, which will then mean more control over your happiness, your relationships, and your life. Click on that link now.
Okay, fathers, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this video, Father? Very informative, very direct, very on point. All videos that I use are fair use videos. They're all available on YouTube. And every video that I use, I also put in the description. So if you're interested in following her or getting additional information directly from her, it will be the very first video that's in the description. Now, fathers, when we talk about obligation versus situation, this is what could lead up to a situation. Okay? Obligation versus situation. We really got to look at this, dads. We really have to take a look at this because the examples that she gave, a lot of these kids, when they get to the point to where they want to leave their parents' house and run away, it's been years for them to get to that point. So there's been a breakdown somewhere, fathers. And we have to ensure with our baby girls that we're validating them and knowing what's going on with them. I can tell you, when I was a state juvenile probation officer, the little girls that ran away from home and were placed on probation, they all have boyfriends. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They all have boyfriends. I made a video. I've made another video earlier. It's called Allowing Our Daughters to Date Before 16 Years of Age Will Destroy Our Homes. Facts, fathers. Any father that would allow his baby girl to have a boyfriend before the age of 16, you need to watch that video. Because once a father allows a little boy in his household, chances are you ain't getting rid of that little boy. So I'm totally against any of our daughters dating before the age of 16. Totally against it. And that is because of what I saw and what I dealt with in the criminal justice system, as well as K-12 education when I worked in K-12 education as well. So obligation versus situation, fathers. Our obligation is to keep our daughters protected and safe. And when that does not happen, it could turn into a situation of them running away from home, not wanting to be at home, not wanting to be around their parents. So we cannot ever allow that breakdown, right? If we're not married to the mothers of our daughters, of our kids, we have to make sure we are co-parenting with the mothers. We have to respect the mothers. We have to have a good relationship with the mothers. Regardless of what's going on with y'all's relationship or how it ended, you have to maintain a good relationship as co-parents, because kids lose in divorce. Period. Kids lose, right? Because all kids, all they want is their parents to be together. So when parents get divorced, kids lose. It's that simple. Okay, fathers? So we just got to make sure our obligation of protection and safety is a priority. It has to be, because we do not want our daughters in a situation where they end up on the streets. It's not something we're going to be able to forgive ourselves for, particularly if they end up dead. Okay, fathers? All right, let's take a look at this, this next video. And let's see here. Let me get it up. Okay, I believe. Is that the one I wanted? Yes. Okay, this is the next video.
Sites like Stolen Stuff Hawaii, there are often posts
Okay,
about
let me get this set up from the beginning. Okay. All right, here we go, fathers. This is video number 2.
sites like Stolen Stuff Hawaii, there are often posts about runaway teens with parents pleading for anyone's help to safely. Jen Boniza looked into the issue for our latest Crime Tracker story. Jen.
Marissa, experts I spoke to say that most children run away to escape trauma or problems in the home. But there are teens that run who are rebelling. Worried parents have taken to social media, desperate for help. I wanted to know what help is available. Dealing with a runaway can be stressful and overwhelming. A parent do is call the police.
Make an official police report because running away is considered a status offense. And as a parent, I believe that you would be very concerned about the safety for your child.
Running away is a juvenile offense. It's not a crime. Chinen tells me it's important to inform the teen's school. Some parents have used social media to get the word out. Is that a good idea?
If you're very concerned and you know that there are people out there in the community that could help and give you information that might be valuable in coming up with some plan to help your child, yeah, I would consider it. But again, I don't know if that's the right thing to do for every situation, and you have to be very careful and use some discretion.
Relying on family and friends can provide some support. But what can be done once you've reached your wit's end? I wanted to know what resources there are for a parent coping with the stress of not knowing whether or not their child is safe.
What we do is we provide a listening ear, and then we try to hook them up with the services in the community.
Chinen says there are many organizations that can help. He says Hawaii families and allies can be a great place to start.
They provide a very valuable service because they help parents because they've been there. They have advocates that can empathize and can provide that support for the families as they're trying to figure out and navigate the system.
Another useful resource is called the Parent Project, which helps parents learn how to deal with and communicate more effectively with difficult or rebellious teens. Log on to kh12.com for more information about that program and other resources. Back to the desk.
Okay, fathers, that was the second video. Once again, informative information on runaway teens, because it's really it's a big problem for a lot of our teenagers that are having a lot of different issues. And like I said, when my daughters were little, this whole social media blow up of TikTok and Snapchat and YouTube. YouTube was around, but I didn't have to deal with TikTok and Snapchat and some of these other social media platforms that are geared specifically for kids. So it was a little different situation. I have 2 millennials and 2 Gen Z daughters. They're all adult women. And I just did not have a lot of the issues that a lot of parents are facing today with their Gen Alpha sons and daughters. So Gen Alpha sons and daughters, totally new generation. Most of them, the older Gen Alpha kids today are turning 14. They were born in 2010. It's 2024. So they are turning 14 years of age, the older ones. And we're at the tail end of Gen Z youngest kids, which are 15, 16, 17, and 18 years old. So next year, beginning 2025, will be a new generation of Gen Bravo. So most of you parents that are millennials, you could end up having Gen Bravo kids as well. And some of you Gen Z parents will end up having, I think the oldest Gen Z kids are now 26. So you will be having Gen Alpha kids. Nope, you will be having Gen Bravo children. Yes, the new generation. So millennials could have both Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And the new and Gen Z parents will be having Gen Bravo. It's hard to keep up with all these different generations. I'm Gen X, so I try to stay on top of it, but hey, it ain't easy. All the generations, they go in 15-year cycles. So, okay, parents, fathers of daughters, let me get this next video ready, and so we can watch it. Okay, give me a second. Okay, let me make sure this is the one. Okay, fathers, here is the next video on teen runaways. This is a little bit different. This is actually a gentleman who actually worked in the criminal justice system like myself. So he's going to explain some things to fathers of daughters.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back. Another topic that ScrewTube is not going to like. Another topic that is probably going to leave a couple of people butthurt. But if I didn't offend somebody, I probably wasn't doing my job. And today, essentially, I'm talking about the police and runaways, particularly teenagers. I can tell you that odds are they're not putting too much effort into finding them if they're looking at all. And again, this is based on my experience. I'm going to remind you, for those of you who have never seen the channel, I used to work for the Juvenile Justice Authority as a director of a YRC2, that's a Youth Residential Center Level 2 facility, which, to make it in layman's terms, is essentially a halfway house for juvenile offenders coming out of the actual corrections and transitioning back into society. And I was also the director of a daycare back in the day. But we, every once in a while, would get a runaway, because the way these facilities work is that you have an open door policy. These kids are able to go to school, they're able to go to doctor's appointments, they're able to get jobs, they can do all the basic community things as if they were living at home, but they answer to the Juvenile Justice Authority. And at after hours, there is a curfew by which they may not go anywhere. They're not locked into a room or a cell or anything, but they are locked down in the facility. And they would get runaways. We all did. All of these facilities get runaways because sometimes the kids, they just don't want to listen. Sometimes the kids have drug habits or whatever their reason may be. Mostly it was a drug related issue, but they would run away and nobody would look for them. It would get reported. My job was to report it, and I had to report it to 3 different authorities. I had to report it to the local police. I had to report it to their probation officer, because they all had a probation officer assigned, and I would have to report it to JJA. But that's as far as it went. They never looked for these kids. And this is in my experience, and this has also been confirmed with situations where I had to deal with with detectives who were supposed to be looking for these clients, supposed to be looking for these teenagers, some of them as young as 12 or 13 years old. They didn't care. The way that the system works, and this was made very evident by a blowout that I had with a detective in Kansas, because that's where this was located, in Kansas. And my experience is all in Kansas. Maybe you have a different experience in another state. So let me just clarify that. I did all of this in the state of Kansas, but I had a blowout more than once with a detective in the state of Kansas, one really bad, who was supposed to be looking for missing clients and was not, because they just simply don't. I actually got cussed out by this detective over the phone for having the nerve to try to help. And what had happened essentially was that while I was driving in that area, I actually saw the runaway. One of the clients that was missing from the facility had been gone for maybe 5 weeks, and I spotted her. And it's like, oh, okay. And I saw her walking up the street and turn into a house. And this is while I was driving. I was cutting through down that street. And I wasn't looking for her, wasn't following her. I just happened to be there and spotted her and reported it. And if I see something like that, again, I have to report it to the local authorities, to the Juvenile Justice Authority, and to the probation officer. And this is not the first time that there had been a runaway and I spotted them somewhere, because I lived and worked in that area. It was probably the fourth or fifth time that I had spotted someone and been, hey, I know who that is, and called it in. I didn't go and approach him or anything like that, didn't follow him around, just reported it. And when you try to report it to, you're supposed to report it directly to the detective, but the detective won't talk to you. You call the detective and they kind of blow you off and they tell you you have to call the tip line. And it's like, why do I have to call the tip line when you're the assigned uh, detective? And I represent another authority in the same system. I'm representing the Juvenile Justice Authority, and you won't talk to me? I have to call a tip line? And in this particular instance that I'm alluding to, I had spotted this client. She turned into a house, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And as I was driving by, I was like, "I'm just going to make a note of that house number." Reported it to the police, reported it to the probation officer, reported it to Juvenile Justice Authority. And then a few days later, the detective calls, and she is absolutely irate. And usually it's a female. And this is a something I've talked to about a lot on this channel too, is because most of these authoritative positions are all run by women now. And that can get to be a problem in other areas that I've discussed, where all the probation officers are women, all of the social workers are women, and they have an unrealistic take on things sometimes when there's such an imbalance. But this detective was a woman, and she was really angry. And she was like, basically, she says, "Hey, asshole, this is not how this works." Seriously, like just like that. I didn't even get to speak yet. It was like, you don't go creeping around looking for people. That's not your effing job, and all of this other stuff. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because again, I didn't follow this person. I wasn't looking for this person. I just happened to spot her and reported it. But what really happened was the probation officer got on her because a couple of days had gone by and he hadn't heard anything about it. He was like, "How come I'm getting a report from the guy directing the facility and I haven't heard from you yet? And I know you got the same report." So he was pissed off that she hadn't done anything yet, because he doesn't want to be liable for his client. That's essentially what the problem was. He didn't want to be held accountable if something happened, because most of the time when these kids run away, they get involved in drugs or prostitution. Males and females, make no mistake about that. I don't care what they tell you. Males and females, and it's usually drug related. Most of them run away for drug problems, seeking or experimenting, and end up in prostitution to pay for it. And eventually they ended up going to that house and actually found two runaways there, including my client, including the person that we were talking about. And so this detective was angry that from her perspective, I guess I went over her head by doing my job. And I spoke to the probation officer at length about this, a couple of them actually, and that's what they basically said was that nobody looks for these kids. The way that it works, and here's your point. I know it took a long time to get around to it. It's a cat. It's a happy kitty. And if you're new to the channel, because I know in the last video somebody was like, "What's with the mug?" If you're new to the channel, coffee talk. There's a lot of different mugs, and so it's just a running gag. And also sometimes people send me mugs to the post office box, and so I show their mug as a courtesy. But he said that basically this is how the system works. Your teen runs away, and we put it in a file and forget it. And eventually, because they're going to get mixed up in either drugs or prostitution, they're going to get arrested somewhere, and it will activate the warrant. And that's how they find them. Basically, when it's too late. That's how they find them. Nobody's actually out there looking for these kids. Nobody's really looking for them. Even if you can demonstrate the possibility of a clear and present danger, sometimes they won't bother. It's like, oh yeah, if it's not like it doesn't seem like they were kidnapped, you know what I mean? But that's what I refer to by clear and present danger. If it's like they just disappeared, they just took off, they're like, yeah, they'll turn up. We'll get them because they'll get caught shoplifting in Walmart, or we'll pick them up on a corner trying to prostitute themselves at passing cars, or we'll pick them up in a drug house eventually, which could be months or longer, years, maybe never. And potentially anything could happen to these kids in that time. You must realize that. That's why a lot of these teens are never heard from again. They end up getting killed because guess what? The negative element out in the streets also knows that no one is looking for these kids. So if one disappears, who cares? And to be clear, also, if it's an infant toddler situation, young adolescent situation, the police actually do a pretty good job in that respect. And I can give an example from my own experience with that as well with my own son, because at one point my ex was running an illegal daycare. She had a bunch of kids in her house, including my own son, and fell asleep and they got out. And the police were called and they called me. Yeah, don't even get me going. They called me and I ran up there, and there must have been 20 squad cars out there with and that's just police plus state troopers on the highway end, because it was a set of woods and then a highway, and they were out within like a half an hour combing that whole area for these missing children. And that's a fast response. Your teens missing, they don't you're not going to get a response like that unless you can demonstrate that there's a possible clear and present danger. So I mean that's basically how it works. Your teenager runs away, and the police, for the most part, at least in my experience, professional and personal, they just wait for them to get picked up somewhere. They just put a warrant for them. They get arrested somewhere. Hey, this is a runaway. Let's transfer them, and then deal with it then. And then they're in the system. Then they're in the system, and they're going to end up in juvenile justice, and they're going to end up in corrections or a YRC2, or maybe if they're really lucky, a YRC1, which is really relaxed, and they'll probably run away again. But that's a whole other story. So, I mean, any opinions on that, you can go ahead and post in the comments section down below. If you get where I'm coming from, please do give the video a thumbs up. Share it if you can. It's probably the only way it'll get seen, because ScrewTube hates this channel. Subscribe if you're new. Check out some of the other videos. If you have not, you may see something interesting. Find me on, and I'm going to spell it because ScrewTube doesn't like to hear it said. Yes, they do sanction for stuff like this, because they have an algorithm that makes a transcript of your entire video and picks words out. BITCHUTE. I'm slowly mirroring on that site. I've got a lot of videos to catch up on. I've had some people that are like, how come you haven't caught up? And it's like, I got hundreds of videos to go through, and I don't have that kind of time. So wait, okay? I'm not going to rush for anybody. I don't get anything out of it. It's not like I'm getting paid to do this. I'm just sharing with people. So what else can I say but stay tuned, folks, because there is more to come.
Okay, fathers, what are your thoughts on that video from a former gentleman who was a director and worked in the criminal justice system? So let me just say this, as a former state juvenile probation officer, I will go ahead and confirm everything he said. When I had kids, boys and girls that ran while they were on probation and they're teenagers, they don't look for them. I'm telling you that right now. They do not look for them. So if they're not looking for them while they're on probation, they sure as hell ain't looking for them when they just run away from your house and they're not in the criminal justice system. So that's the truth. That's what it is. I'm not going to sit up here in front and pretend like, yeah, they're going to look for your kid. No, they're not. Though, like I said, if they come across your child, most kids get caught because they get into some type of illegal situation. Most little girls, they're prostituting their bodies, they're on drugs, they're somewhere they're not supposed to be. Most little boys are better at hiding. Boys know other little boys, and little boys are more resourceful as far as where they can lay their head at night if they run away from home. Little girls aren't as resourceful because most predators want to violate them. So that's the reality. But as far as them looking for your kids, you can hang that up. They ain't doing it. I'm telling you, they're not doing it. And, you know, when we had kids that ran and they were on probation, we have to instantly get a warrant issued from the time that we find out that they've run away from. So we'll get the warrant issued that day. And like he said, it does go in the file, and the file stays in my drawer until that child gets picked up. So that's what it is, fathers. So our obligation, protection and safety. I got to keep stressing that. Our obligation is protection and safety, fathers, because we don't want them in a situation of running away from home, because it's not going to turn out good for our baby girls. It's just not. I mean, that's what it is. Chances are they're going to end up dead. Or if they're assaulted and violated, they got to live with that for the rest of their life. And a lot of therapy just can't help these young girls. So we want to be in the position where we never have to deal with that. And we just don't want our baby girls running away from home, fathers. That's just what it is, okay? This last video, it's going to be disturbing, okay? And I need to show it. And I'm going to show it because it's what happens, what can happen to our baby girls being caught up in a situation. Okay. This young woman is 13 years of age, and it's about a 30-minute interview. Okay. So watch the whole thing, and you can see for yourself, fathers, what can happen to our baby girls by running away from home and what they will end up doing to survive. Okay, let me get it ready. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, fathers, let me check this video. It's okay. That's it. Okay. Okay, fathers, here we go. Final video.
All right, Nova. So you are the daughter of someone I've interviewed before,
Yeah,
one of the working girls.
Yes.
in South Central. Her name was Tania, and she's been in the on social media a lot with all the drama in her life.
Yeah.
You're a part of that, right? Tell me what's going on in your life, because your story is pretty unique.
So basically, what's going on in my life is my mom. When I moved with my mom, my whole life just like changed. And what I mean by change, I mean like my mom, she showed me different stuff. Like before I got with her, I lived in Beverly Hills. I was with different people
Who
with
are you
different
staying in Beverly
mindsets.
Hills with?
With my grandparents.
Grandparents, okay.
First I stayed with my mom's mom, and then I moved with my great grandparents, my mom's mom. So when I moved with my mom, she started showing me different stuff. She moved me to the hood, the east side of LA, South Central.
And how old are you now?
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah. When she started showing me all that stuff, and when she moved to the east side, my mindset changed. I changed how I look at things. Like, I didn't look at things the same. And once my mom started seeing that I was changing and that I didn't think the same no more, she started treating me different. Like, I feel like she didn't like it. But I mean, it wasn't really my fault. It was really her fault, because I asked to stay with my grandma, and she like forced me to move to LA. I used to get bullied and all type of stuff. But
To South Central LA?
No, like in Beverly Hills and stuff, because it was always like white kids and stuff around us, around me and my brother. It was me and my brother. And
But you were you said you were forced to move.
Yeah, I was forced to move
to where?
Here to LA. First I was in Marina Valley, and then I was in Beverly Hills, but I was forced to move like to the east side, to the ghetto.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I didn't want to go because I knew how the girls was. They used to bully me. They used to pick on me, any little things. I used to wear Skechers. I used to wear all the little bullshit stuff. So when my mom started seeing that I was changing and stuff, she didn't like it. I feel like she started being jealous of me because I started getting around girls that she didn't like. But whole time I didn't know that she didn't like the girls, not the girls didn't like her. They were just telling me stuff, and I was learning new stuff. And I used to come to my mom like, "Is this true?" And she used to be like, "Yeah, that's true." So I'm like, okay, it's different. And when I went to Bret Hart Middle School, I had got jumped by these girls from Hoover, and I told my mom, and she didn't believe me. And I'm like, you don't even care about me, like. And she's like, it's okay if some girls put their hands on you, fight back. And I'm like, okay. So after that, I started fighting more. When I started fighting more, I started like not caring about anything, and my mom didn't like that. She started kicking me out. I came back. She was treating me weird. Like, she kept bringing up stuff. Like, she used to bring up how I got beat up, how I used to get abused by this dude. And that's when I used to run away. I'm not even gonna lie, I did used to run away. But it wasn't for no reason though. She used to abuse me. She used to go on live, expose me, embarrass me. She used to post my messages. The same thing she doing now. This been happening like since like 4 or 3 years ago. So that's why now I'm just used to it. But
And who are you staying with now?
now
Are you living with? Are you in the foster system or?
No, now I'm staying with a friend. Yeah, my friend.
But so you're supposed to be staying with your mom?
Yeah, but she kicked me out in December last year.
But you told me out there that you're in the system?
Yeah, I'm in the system. Nobody has custody of me.
No one has custody of you.
My mama lost custody of me like 2 years ago because when she was abusing me and stuff. Yeah.
And your grandparents are?
My grandparents, they're old. My great grandparents are 73 and 72. And I always ask to go over there. My grandma, she still texts me to this day, but she's like, I can't take care of you because she has high blood pressure, and she thinks I'm going to stress her out. But I mean, I don't really need nobody to take care of me. I know how to get what I need, but I just need like shelter, you know?
Have you've been working some of the streets as a prostitute? How long has that been going on?
Since May.
Since May.
Yeah.
How did you get introduced to that at 13?
I used to be around these girls from Front Street, and they had this. The girl that they was with wasn't from their hood, but she used to be around them. They used to call each other like sister, Fable, and all that stuff. And the girls seen how them girls used to try to bully me, and they didn't like me for some reason. They had some type of animosity towards me. And the girl that was with them, she seen like, I don't like how they treating you. You something better than that. We could be getting money out here. So a couple months later, she texted me at like 3:00 in the morning and was like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." Laying down. I'm like, "What you doing?" She like, "I'm out trapping." And I'm like, "Trapping?" She sent the picture and I'm like, "You do that now?" And she like, "Yeah, it's fast money. You should do it with me." So the next day I texted her like, "Can you come get me? My mama acting weird." My mama was acting weird. She was threatening me to kick me out, break my phone, all this. I'm like, "Can you come get me?" So she was like, "Yeah." I told my mom, I'm like, I'm about to go do a TikTok downstairs. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, can I do a TikTok in your car? She gave me the keys. I put the keys next to the door and I ran away. I went and I got in the car and she was with this nigga. He had tattoos all over his face. He was playing music. He was like a gangbanger. He was a gangbanger. He was a pimp. And I didn't even know that he was a pimp. So we had went to the Crenshaw Mall.
So your mom, just for those that are not aware, your mom was working as a prostitute as well?
I don't know.
That's what she told me in that interview that she did with me.
She told you that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I seen a video of my mom on Fig, but I don't know if it's true. I hope it's not true. But it looked like she was on Fig. She said that she was walking from a club, but she doesn't go to clubs. And I heard in the past, like when I was like 5 and 6 and stuff, they used to tell me like, "Oh, your mom is getting money from dudes," and I'm like, maybe they're just friends, but so sometimes I think yes, she is a prostitute, but sometimes I think no, she's not because she has 3 babies to worry about at home. You feel me? Yeah.
And when she lost custody of you, you've been on your own since then?
Yes.
Are you going to high school, or you're not even high school age? What grade are you in?
9th grade.
So you're a freshman in high school? Are you going to high school? You're not.
No. Because I can't get checked into school unless my mom checked me in. Even though she's not even my guardian. So I don't even know how I can get checked into school. I don't know. I'll have to see something about that. I don't know.
Do you have anyone you can go to? You just stay at friends' houses or whatever you can figure out?
Whoever let me in. I mean, whoever wants to be nice, whoever is up at that time. You feel me?
Are you working with a pimp? You're not working with a pimp.
I can't do pimps.
That's hard to believe at 13 years old.
Yes,
you don't have
I
a pimp
know,
on.
but what I've experienced, I can't do a pimp. It's like you're outside selling, not to cuss, but you're outside selling your pussy just to give it to a nigga. That doesn't like sit right with me. Like you're standing outside for nothing. Even though it's bad to stand outside, you're still standing outside for something. Because at the end of the night, you're gonna have money in your hand. You feel me? And you're not giving it to nobody. You're spending it on yourself. And I need money. So nobody out here really helping me. They help me when they feel like or when I'm giving them something. And I don't give people nothing if they're not giving me nothing. So I guess we're just not gonna be helping each other. Yeah.
Wow. Tell me about what you're going through trying to make money this way. Well, I mean, a 13-year-old girl, you start discovering boys, and you're in high school and stuff like that. I mean, you're living a very different life than a typical high school kid.
Yeah. Boys, I don't really care about boys. I mean, if it involved money.
What do you? I mean, you're experiencing men, probably.
Yeah, men. I had like it was like kind of like a real relationship. He was like grown as fuck though, like real grown. And after that, I can't do it because when they know that you're young, I was telling them that. No, I'm not gonna say all that. But when they know that you're young, they try to take advantage of you, and I could tell when somebody's trying to take advantage of me, and I don't go for that anymore. So after that, it was just like, But what I'm going through, it's hard because when people see what my mom is posting on the internet, they look at me like, you a little girl, you just out here running away, not caring, you treating your mama wrong, you doing all this. They don't even listen to me no more. But once people post me, and I guess once I put a sob story out there, that's when they, believe me and listen to me. So that's hard too, because it's like, what else do y'all want me to say? So it's like I have to physically go out there and do shit on my own because nobody wants to believe me.
This is why you wanted to come and do a video with me.
Yeah. And I'm like, shit, I do need some money, but I did. You feel me? Yeah, I just came out here from Vegas too, so I came out here.
What were you doing in Vegas?
I was on the strip.
You were working?
Yeah.
Wow, you're a seasoned vet at 13 years old.
Something like that.
Is this a horrifying life for a 13-year-old girl?
Yeah. Every time, like before I go to the blade or anything, like my stomach, it'll feel like I'm finna throw up, like, or I gotta use the bathroom. Number 2, because it's like I'm nervous, my stomach bubbling. It's just.
Do these men know you're 13?
Shit, probably not. I just dated a guy last night, and he told me, I said I'm 16. He said, please tell me that you're younger than that. And I said, why? He said, just tell me that you're younger than that. And I said, no, I'm 16. And he said, just please tell me. Like, it's weird guys like that. He asked me if I had any friends 10 to 14. And yeah, like, it's weirdos out here.
Jesus. Yeah. And are drugs a part of your life at all?
No, I don't do drugs, but one time I was with a trick, and the trick, he did drugs, so, and he seen that I was going through it or whatever, so he had like a lot of shrooms. He had perks, e-pills, all type of stuff. And he was like, if your life ever get hard, if you questioning your life, take these. And I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I don't need it. He's like, no, here, take them. I'm like, no, I'm cool. So I went to the bathroom. I left my purse on the couch. I came back. I'm like, okay, bye, I'm leaving. Bye. So I got in the car. I looked at my purse, and the e-pills and the shrooms was in my purse. So I'm like, he's trying to force it down my throat. And even if they was in my purse, I still didn't do it, because I feel like if I was to do drugs, I'm never going to clap back. Like, I'm going to just be out there on the curb, really on the curb. So, yeah.
I mean, what would you like to see happen?
What do you mean?
In your life? I mean, you're not looking.
Okay.
Are you looking to go back with your mom, or you're getting to her? You do want her to change her behavior? What do you want?
Yeah, I feel like it's not all on, like, it's on both of us, because my mom has to change her ways, and I have to change my ways too. But I already changed my ways. She just wants to keep kicking me out. She wants to keep holding grudges. That's what my mom does. She holds grudges. Just like the same baby daddy that she on the internet arguing with, they beef that they had is old. That's like, my little sister is 4 now. That was 4 years ago. He been stopped. Yes, he used to beat on her, but he been stopped doing that like 4 years ago. So that I feel like that's for no reason. But yeah.
Yeah, your mom's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah. I mean, that's what she likes, because she told you on the interview that she didn't get no attention when she was a kid, right? That's what she said, right? Yeah. So that's what she's looking for now from grown people and kids. Like even now, like she texts girls and she has conversations with girls that don't even like me. Like it'll be girls hating under my post right now, and my mama would be on the phone with them, and it's weird to me because it's like, mom, like she doesn't like me.
Did you feel like your mom is not on your side, not trying to protect?
Yeah, she's never on my side. It's always the next little girl. It's always the next person. She's always comparing me. So that's why whatever she says, I'm just like, okay, mom. Like, okay, are you done? Like, but I don't disrespect her anymore. Like everybody sees, I post all our messages. Everybody sees like how she talks to me. I be begging her, crying, pleading. She don't care.
Is social media helping or hurting your
No.
relationship with your family, your mom?
Social media, I feel like it's not doing nothing. I post on social media because I be bored. I don't really care about what the next person has to say about me, you know? But if you stopping my money, that's when I care, you know?
You have a good head on your shoulders, at least.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You're a smart young girl.
Thank you.
Are you looking to go back to high school? You'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, because I hope I hope I say it right. It's called, when I get older, I want to be a defense attorney, and I have to go to school for that. So I'm not going to do this shit forever. This shit, no. In 2 months, I'm not going to be doing this. Trust and believe. This is not. Yeah, I'll probably have regulars, but I'm not going to be standing on Fig or any other blade because no. And then going on Fig, they be harassing me. They be talking about, you 13, get off the blade. Like I was just on the blade. This was like 3 weeks ago, and these girls, and no, that video is not me. Them girls jumping me, that's not me. But these girls had seen me, and it was like, oh, that's that little girl. And I had put my head down. And when I tell you, like 3 minutes later, all the girls off every blade in the 70s came to my blade and started just yelling, started throwing shit at me, started doing all type of shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I hid behind a car. I didn't run because they're going to start chasing me. So I hid behind a car and I ducked. And I called the girl I was with, because I don't have no pimp. So the girl I was with, I'm like, can you come get me? They harassing me. They finna call the police. Oh yeah, and I got out the trick car, and one of the girls had banged on the trick car and was like, she's 13. You're fucking on minors. Da, da, da. It's just crazy. But I called the girl and I'm like, they're harassing me. They finna call the police. And she like, hold on, I'm rolling the wood. And I'm like, girl, come get me. Like, the fuck, something happened to me. And she like, hold on, I'm rolling the wood. So I just walked. I started walking, and I walked to the little McDonald's. And I hid right there, and my phone was finna die. So I had to call people fast. And I called a trick, and he came and got me. But that's why I don't even like Fig anymore, because I'm traumatized from that. Like,
Sure.
it was a lot of girls. Like, it wasn't just 5 girls. It was like 20 girls. Like,
Trying to chase you off.
yeah. I mean, they didn't chase me because I didn't run.
What is this, what you're doing, do to you emotionally?
Emotionally,
I mean, you're laughing and joking about it, almost like it's not that horrible.
nah. I laugh because I got braces. Ever since I got braces, I just been smiling and shit. It's not it's not even that. But it don't really affect me. The only thing that really affects me is like with these dudes. Like, I look at them, I don't look at them the same anymore. Like, I don't even want a boyfriend anymore. I used to want a boyfriend so bad, but it's like, no, like, we can be friends and you can give me money, but
You probably see men differently now.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, like, just with what I'm going through, having barely anybody at nighttime, that's when, like, all, like, my emotions come. You know, that's when everything that I've been feeling, it comes. And I start crying. I just get depressed. And then I smoke and act like it never happened. And it's like when shit happen, it's like I'm numb. And I don't know why it's like this. And it's crazy that it's like this. But it's like when it happened, it already happened. There's nothing that you could do about it. You feel me? So sometimes I can't even cry. And that's like people be like, oh, you just don't give a fuck. No, like, I don't know if nobody ever felt like this, but I just can't cry no. The tears can't come out.
But where's your father?
I don't know. He's weird. I called him. My dad, he's a pimp. And I feel like he don't care because he's a pimp. And he already look at hoes like, you feel me? But my dad, he a gang member. He still be outside. He still be fucking with bitches and stuff, but he don't care about me. Like I called him, when did I call him? I called him in July, like right before I got my braces. And I'm like, Dad, can you come get me? He like, nah, I don't got time for your bullshit. And I'm like, I'm for real. He like, nah, I don't got time. And I'm like, but I'm for real. Like, can you at least take me home? Can you call my mama or something? He like, nah. And I'm like, all right. So I hung up. And I'm like, okay, he don't give a fuck. My mama don't give a fuck. So I don't give a fuck.
Who's paying for your braces?
Me.
You're paying for your braces yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you're making enough money to do that.
I mean, yeah. He only charged $250, and then like every month is like $50. Mm-hmm.
And you make that money on the track.
Yeah, but that's not where I get all my money from. Like Instagram, if people follow me, they know I sell content and stuff, and I make a lot of money off of that. Oh God, like.
What do you sell on?
I sell like sex tapes and like fucking tricks and shit. Yeah, and like they like to see news. Some like to see me smile. Some like to hear me talk. It's just they like all type of stuff. They like custom videos. Like this nigga just sent me $500 last night for my feet, and my feet not even done. It's it's weird.
Kids grow up fast nowadays.
Yeah.
If you had your life to live over again, your 13-year-old life, what would you have done differently?
Whenever I want my mom, I would have been like, no, I'm cool, I'm good. And if you really try to force me to go, like, I would have just told my granny, like, get her, call the police on her, like, get her. I do not want to go with her. That's what changed me. My mother, she, yeah, my grandma didn't show me none of this stuff.
And your grandparents are no longer able to take care of you?
Oh, excuse me.
They're still alive though, but my grandpa, he has gout. They both have gout. They could barely walk. But my grandma, they still be going to Vegas. They still be having their little fun, but they just don't want to take care of no kids. She right after my mama had me and my brother, she gave us to our grandparents. And then my mom went to jail. And that's when my grandma got custody of me and my brother. She went to jail when I was like 4 for fraud. But yeah.
Oh. It's a very interesting life you're leading, Nova. Nova's your street name?
Yeah. Not really street name. Because Nova, it means star. Like, you're going to be a star. Like, I'm going to be a star, you know?
I believe it.
Thank you.
You're smart.
Thank you.
You're a very bright young girl.
Thanks.
You're just going through some
bullshit.
Yeah. Yes, you are. Well, hopefully this creates some opportunities for something good to happen in your life.
Right.
Are you feeling safe out there? I mean, it sounds like you're going through some crap already.
I'm protected by God. That's who I really like. That's who I really trust. Like, who I trust the Holy Spirit.
Do you have any friends?
Yeah. Yes, my mama posted them on the internet. So it's like I can't even have any friends anymore because my mom is going to post them and she's going to push them away. Because who wants to get posted?
Right.
Talking about, oh, my daughter missing. You have my daughter. You're harboring a minor. Like, cut it, man.
So going back to your mom, is that something you're open to?
Yeah,
It is.
because yeah, one day I might just say, like, if it gets too hard for me, I might just say, like, fuck it, and like really fight for my mama. Go to the police station. That's what I'm doing now, but she doesn't believe me because all the times that I did run away, the messages that I'm posting, everybody could see that I'm trying to go back home. So yes, I'm.
You prefer to be with your mom.
Yeah, I prefer to be with my mom. In the future, I'm going to be with her. I know I'm going to be.
I mean, not every relationship between a child and a parent is perfect.
Yeah.
But you seem to be well adjusted. You seem to be smart.
Yeah. So I know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. You seem to have it figured out. But you're just going through some really tough things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope this all works out for you. Maybe a little communication might open up some doors and get people to see things a little differently.
But one thing about her, she don't know how to communicate. She just know how to argue. You know, she doesn't really know how to talk things out because she gets mad easily. She has an anger problem, and I do too. I'm not gonna lie.
Are you similar to your mom?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not as how you say it? Conniving? I'm not as conniving as her. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I hope something comes of this. And maybe we'll check in with you guys down the road and see what happens.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, fathers, grow dads. I don't even know where to begin with that one. That is a 13-year-old child. This interview took place last May of 2023. That is a 13-year-old child. Father's a gang member and a pimp. Mother is a prostitute. This little girl's out there just surviving. Makes no sense. This was a hard one for me. You know, I look at my adult daughters and I can't even imagine failing them. That's just, this was a hard one for me. This is crazy. Obligation versus situation. This young lady at 13 years of age, she wants to be a defense attorney. Excuse me. She wants to be a lawyer. She speaks very well, very intelligent young woman, 13 years of age. None of this makes any sense. This is what happens when your parents fail you. She's out there. She doesn't know if her mom has custody. She's sitting up here talking about her mom's kicked her out the house. She reached out to her father. This is a broken child. This is a failed, broken child because her parents. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So, fathers of daughters, obligation versus situation. We don't provide protection and safety for our daughters. They're going to end up in a situation. That's the bottom line. They're going to end up in a situation where they can end up dead. Fathers. That is the bottom line. This video disturbed me. It really disturbed me. So, all right, fathers. Thank you for your time. This is another live stream. And we'll be doing it again next week. I live stream once a week. I appreciate you. Keep your heads up. Continue to grind for our baby girls, for our children. And let's do what we do as dads. All right, fathers. Until next week's live stream, I'm out. Peace.